And we are live for a random Ask Me Anything on a Friday afternoon. At least it's Friday afternoon where I am at. But because I have people that watch my channel from all over the world, it's all kinds of different times. It's even different days where some of you are at. On that point, where are some of you? Let me know down and below in the chat. It's always fun for me to see where people are at watching my videos. But yeah, if you guys want to start throwing your questions into the chat, I'll start making my way through your questions. If you throw in a super chat, I will answer it as long as it is appropriate. And if you're unaware, I also have a Patreon page where I do a live Q&A with them that's kind of exclusive every Saturday. So if you join at any level, you can be a part of those, and I answer everybody's questions. So patreon.com/Sean Chandler. Join at any level, and you can be a part of the Q&As. We'll have one tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Time. They go for about an hour and 15 minutes. I tackle as many people's questions as I can. And let's get started with Gamer Girl. Why was there no Blu-ray haul in August? Will they return this month? Because I didn't buy any Blu-rays. There was no Blu-ray haul to do because I didn't buy any Blu-rays. So the only video I had was the ones I got from fan mail, and that video does exist. Will they return this month? Yeah. If I don't buy anything, I don't do the video. If I buy Blu-rays, I do the videos. I'm not going to make a video just to, milk people for more views or whatever. I didn't have anything to talk about. All righty. Questions. They are just flying in right out of the gate. Oh, Reese, what got you into movies? I have just always been into movies, in nerd culture stuff. When I was, some of my earliest memories was traveling from Texas to California. We'd moved to Texas the year before from California. Driving back, we stopped in Arizona, the small town. They had a theater that had one screen. It had a balcony, and they were playing Star Trek V. And so then we went to go see it. And then that same summer, I went to go see Batman 1989. So I've just always been into nerd culture type stuff. So that's where it comes from. Dale, how did you and Cody Leach become friends? When I got on YouTube, I just tried to meet other YouTubers. And so he did a review of Bloodfather. And in his review, he said stuff like what I said in my review. So I commented on his video, and we've been friends ever since. It's as simple as that. Woo, so many questions so fast. You are reading a name. Sean, do you like Green Day? I like Green Day from the 90s. After the 90s, they got weird, and they didn't grow up, and they started, and so it became very phony to me, what they were doing. So I really enjoyed their stuff in the 90s, and then when you're like a 40-year-old millionaire still acting angsty like you're 14 years old, it's weird. Benton with the super chat. Thanks so much. Hi, Sean. Which director are you more looking forward to, Ari Aster or Damien Chazelle? Not Ari Aster. I don't like his stuff, really. Very technically very good direction, but he picks stories that I'm not interested in at all. I mean, you can look at my reviews of his movies, and I don't care for them much. Damien Chazelle, I think he has interesting ideas. I really enjoyed Whiplash, and so I'm much more interested in what he's doing than what Ari Aster is doing. Period. It's just as simple as that. T. Topongna. Is it worth to watch the animated Flashpoint before seeing the live action movie? They're going to have totally different stories. There's no overlap between the two of them. Flashpoint is an adaptation of the graphic novel Flashpoint. This one right here. And so then it's true to the story, simplified into an hour and 15 minutes. The movie's going to be its own thing that takes inspiration. So if you're interested in the graphic novel, if you're interested in what the story is, check this one out. But if you're just trying to prep for the movie, there's no overlap, really. Super chat from Majestic Demon. Thanks so much. Do you think Disney should just completely scrap the Black Panther sequel? No, I don't think that's the right way to honor what Chadwick Boseman did and his work to scrap the sequel. I don't think that honors him. You certainly have to be sensitive. You have to pay attention to, I mean, I didn't know him, obviously. And you have to kind of respect his wishes and his kind of vibe, talk to the director and things like that. But I don't think saying, oh, well, no one else can do this, we got to get rid of it. That doesn't seem like that respects what he built. He built something that people loved and cherished and meant a lot to them. So then the question is, how do you continue that? And I don't think how do you continue that legacy? Well, the answer is not scrap it. So I don't have the answer. I'm not I don't feel I'm in the mood yet or in the right place to start speculating as what they should do. That feels a little bit cold and crass to me, but yeah. So I'm not quite sure. Lights Out. Have you seen Good Boys? No, pretty much any of these like little kids behaving badly movies or high schoolers trying to get to the party so they can do drugs on each other. That genre is not for me. I've said that many times before, but it's I don't resonate with it. It feels kind of gross to me. Maybe it's because my age or whatever, but I really don't resonate with stories about kids behaving badly. Josh Markle had a super chat. I couldn't find it, but he said, have you seen The Boys on Amazon Prime? Yeah, I mean, I have a review of the first season on my channel. So you can find my review of season 1 of The Boys on my channel. A lot of the questions you guys are asking a lot of times, you ask me about things I've actually done reviews for. So I just always search for it to see if I've done thoughts on them. So season 1, I really enjoyed it. My full thoughts are in my review. I've only seen episode 1 of season 2, so I can't really comment on it, but I can say I wasn't immediately sucked into season 2. What they did in the first few episodes didn't really work for me. I don't want to say it didn't work. That's not the right phrasing. It didn't do something that immediately hooked me. I like season 1. I was like, man, I just got to watch through this. I got kind of hooked. Like, where's this going? Season 2 didn't do that as much right out of the gate. So I don't have an opinion. Like, I plan to finish watching it, but I wasn't immediately hooked by it. Reese, what are your thoughts on WandaVision? I put out a trailer reaction, so I don't want to talk about that. In general, if you ask me about something I've done a video about recently, I'm not going to talk about it in here because I want to talk about things that I have not talked about elsewhere or I haven't talked about much recently. Lucas, do you watch sports? Not really. I'm just not really able to watch all the movies that I have to watch. It just eats up most of my time. Like whenever I do a ranking, I watch all those movies again. Like I rewatch through them. I have a list on my phone of about 100 movies I need to watch by the end of the year. That just eats up my time. I simply am not able to have a bunch of other hobbies at the same time. So sports are one of those things that kind of disappears. Several of you asked me about, do I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine? I've actually never seen a single episode. Like I have not seen one episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, so I have no thoughts on it at all. No opinion whatsoever, unfortunately. Someone asked me, favorite Stanley cameo? I have a ranking of them. I actually have 2 rankings of them that has my pick. 1534 with super chat. Thank you so much. Did you see the miniseries for The Stand from the 90s? Do you have any interest in the remake coming soon? I have not seen The Stand, and I've not read the book. I actually barely even know the plot of The Stand, and that's somewhat intentional because I am interested in the remake. From my experience, some people totally different experience. I didn't watch the miniseries when they debuted in the 90s. Langoliers, The Shining miniseries. I didn't watch any of them at the time. So when I'm watching them now, I don't feel like they've aged very well. They don't hold up for me. So I don't want to have the new movie spoiled for me by watching something that is not as strong of a version of it. That's my experience. I know that's not a lot of yours experiences. Screen Trooper Studios, what is your favorite foreign film? I really don't have lists of favorites on things if I haven't done a video on it. I don't sit around thinking like, oh, what's my favorite foreign film? I don't really know. I don't think about it that way. Like I love John Woo's collaborations with Chow Yun-fat from the 80s and early 90s, Better Tomorrow, Killer, Hard Boiled. But I don't think to myself, that's my favorite. I love a bunch of Jackie Chan's Hong Kong stuff, but I don't sit around thinking that's my favorite. So some of them are tricky because I just don't think about it the way that you're referencing it. So I don't have a good answer for you because I don't think that way. Dylan, do you like Prison Break? I've only seen a couple episodes. It didn't immediately hook me, and so unfortunately, I don't have a better answer for you. So I've only seen a couple episodes. It didn't have a strong opinion in any particular direction. Carter Lovejoy, do you like South Park? I've actually only ever seen one full episode of South Park. It was the one with Christopher Reeves, and he's in a wheelchair like Captain Pike from the episode The Menagerie of Star Trek, and he's on a quest to eat people's spines to get stem cells. And I thought it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Unbelievably offensive, but really funny at the same time. Like, I couldn't believe how inappropriate it was, and I was laughing at it. A lot of those shows, I kind of, when they're like crass animated shows, I don't watch them a lot, but I find them really funny. Like, I've only seen like one episode of Family Guy. I laughed a lot at it, but it's not a show that I tracked down. So make of that what you will. I have an interesting feeling on some of those ones. Captain Nostalgia, could you rank the Blair Witch movies? Maybe someday. I guess there was 3 of them, so maybe someday I could do that. I don't remember the timing of when this latest one came in as to why I haven't done them before, but maybe. Michael, in your opinion, this is a fun one. It's a super chat from Michael Goetz. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. In your opinion, is Netflix Marvel in the MCU? No, I don't think so. I do not consider the Marvel Netflix shows part of the MCU because there's no actual connective tissue. They're like, we're part of the MCU. We talked about the green guy, the incident. I mean, just Easter eggs. There's not actual connective tissue. And no way have the movies affirmed them as part of the universe. And I think it leads to more problems suggesting they are. So I don't believe that they are part of the MCU. When I think about the MCU, I don't really consider that part of the canon. A lot of you guys are asking me about The Boys. I've already talked about that. I also have a video about it on my channel. The other one, how often do you watch a movie that you've never seen before? All the time. Because to do these rankings, I watch all the movies, and so I just have these lists. And one of the reasons I do some of the stuff that I do is to make it something that I haven't seen before. So I'm constantly watching things I haven't watched before, and obviously I'm watching new movies all the time. I've posted over 40 movie reviews this year, so that's to say every single week this year I've done a new movie review. That's a new movie I've seen, plus to prep for all these rankings. So, in the last couple of weeks, I've done a whole bunch of them. Jack Fustenberg with the super chat. Thank you so much. What has been the most annoying movie to watch on loop with your kids? Oh, man. It's not movies as much that bother me. It's more some of the TV shows. It's actually more the YouTube. They watch like Hobby Kids, Hobby Gaming, Slick Slime Stan or something like that. And it's like they watch kids playing video games. They watch kids playing with slime. They watch, all this stuff that I don't get it. I really don't understand what they're doing or why they're watching it. That's what's more annoying to me. Like, trying to think of a movie. Like, the movies really aren't the ones that have bugged me as much. Okay, let me try to go back through here to see the super chats that I missed. My technology is not the best. It kind of lets me see your super chats as they come through, kind of doesn't. Nathan Taylor with the super chat. Thank you so much. Do you think theaters will still be open in May? Yeah. Some of them have bigger financial troubles than other. Some of them, like AMC, might get shut down. But the buildings are still there, and there's still demand for theaters once it's safe. So even if AMC goes under, someone like Amazon will buy them. So and you have to think about it in that way. Will things change? Yes, but will they be gone forever? I will really doubt that. Popcorn 799 with the super chat. Thank you so much. Have you ever watched Naruto? I don't actually know what that is. I'm sorry, man. I wish I could give you a better answer, something more specific on that, but I haven't. And I'm not familiar with it to be able to give you any sort of fulfilling answer. Daniel Skinner, Caleb Benton asked a question. What movie did you like, but your kids did not? They're young enough that they don't really dislike anything other than a Dog's Way Home, but none of us like that. So they don't watch things with me and act and state out loud that they didn't like it. So that's not the way that would play out. The way it plays out is like I'll put on a movie that I'm hoping they're going to like, and they'll watch 10 minutes and they kind of wander off. And they kind of do that with a lot of stuff, anything that's a little bit more mature. Even a lot of the MCU, they kind of watch it, but then they kind of wander off. Like we put on Age of Ultron a couple days ago, and my son would watch when Hulkbuster suit's on screen, but then he would wander off for most of the other stuff when they're talking or anything like that. So unfortunately, that's kind of the way it played out. Brandon Carroll with Super Chat, thank you so much. What is your favorite animated movie that is not Disney Pixar? I did like a month ago. I did my top 10 favorite animated films. So a number of them are not Disney. There's DreamWorks on there. There's Batman: Mask of the Phantasm is on there. So it's like How to Train Your Dragon, and then Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, I believe, are on there. I don't have the list for me. I don't keep that in mind. But there's a whole video that will answer that question for you from only about a month ago. Let me hop on over, grab one of these non-super chat ones real quick, and then head on back on over to super chats. I try and go back and forth on these, but it's tough. Oliver Miller, have you seen the Vampire Diaries? A bunch of people are asking me about Vampire Diaries recently. I don't know why. I've seen some of it with my wife because she watched it. That's not of interest to me. So I've seen a few episodes, but don't really care about them. Julian Burrus, have you seen Nightcrawler? Yeah, absolutely. I've talked about it in a number of videos. Great performance from Jake Gyllenhaal. Really cool, transformative, disappears into the role. So yeah, I've seen it. I really dig it. It's not one I rewatch, but I really dig it. Ruben J had a super chat. He says, don't know if you've said this, but what Marvel show are you most excited for? So a year ago, I did a ranking of them whenever they first kind of announced them. Since then, they've announced more, and they've announced some casting, so I have a better idea of what's coming out. I don't know. I definitely not WandaVision. Definitely not Loki. She-Hulk and Miss Marvel, I'm just not familiar enough with them. Falcon and Winter Soldier seems like a safe bet that I'll enjoy it, but it feels like that safe bet because I know what I'm going to get. A spy show in the MCU with a couple characters that I already know. They just announced this Nick Fury one today. I'm very excited to see Samuel L. Jackson have his own show, but it kind of feels kind of safe. I know what it's going to be. I know I'm going to like it, but it feels kind of safe. Hawkeye, it feels safe. Like it's tough because it doesn't feel like there's not one that there's several of the ones that are interesting and weird, like WandaVision. It seems too weird, so I'm not quite sure. So I can't say I'm most excited for it. And then there's 3-4 of them, Hawkeye and these spy shows that I feel like I know I'm going to get. I feel like I know what I'm going to get. So I don't have a definitive one that's like the standout. Man, I can't wait. Like this one feels like the winner. The way that Daredevil was just like the easy winner of the Marvel Netflix stuff of the previous generation. So not really sure. Why didn't you review? I'm thinking of ending things because I can't review everything. It's not on brand. These are kind of. I get frustrated sometimes with some of these questions because the assumption is that I can review everything. Therefore, I have to justify why I didn't review something. And from my mind, I can't review everything. And people don't watch my movie reviews as much as they watch my other content. So. I'll get tons of people like, why didn't you review this? Why didn't you review this? And it's confusing to me because I see I'm thinking of many things and I think that's off brand. That's not really the type of stuff I cover normally. And if I did review it, it wouldn't have gotten very many views. But if I don't review it, then people are shocked that I didn't review it. I didn't review it because it just wasn't on my radar. It's still not really on my radar, other than people being confused as to why I haven't reviewed it, which I don't, it's not on my radar. It's just very different from what I normally cover. I cover big franchise stuff. That's kind of what I'm known for. I grew my channel off big franchise rankings and stuff like that, not kind of smaller indie, thoughtful, weird, bizarre Kaufman stuff. So that's my perspective on it. Is I've never reviewed all movies. I can't. It's just me. And I'm also homeschooling my kids. I've kind of been trying to say this is I can't put out as many videos as I used to put out because I'm homeschooling my kids. I'm sitting earlier today. I was sitting why is there not an edited video today? Because earlier today I spent hours at the kitchen table teaching my kids multiplication and how to read. Broken Wolf with the super chat. Thank you so much. What happened to the animated DC ranking? I just haven't done it yet. I've watched all the movies. I've got all my notes written. I just need to. There's not it's not a video that I think will be a big, massive hit. It'll just, I don't know how, I really don't know how well it'll do, but there's not an event that sparks the urgency to do it. But it's written. It's all good to go. It has been for about a month. But as soon as I got all the movies watched, then DC Fandom happened. Then Tenet came out. Mulan, Bill and Ted. Like we had new movies to do rankings for and everything. So it just got delayed, and now I'm homeschooling. So it's just tricky like that. There's a super chat from Cool Guy, but no question with it. So I am aware of that. Thank you for the super chat. Don't have a question. Silver Memer, would you be excited if Disney Plus announced Daredevil Season 4? I mean, I would be excited because we're getting more Daredevil. So, of course, I would be excited if that happened. In that sense, yes. But it wouldn't do it. If they did it, it would be a different show because they wouldn't have that tone. So it's like it feels like such a hypothetical that there's too many other things that go along with it. Magnus Johansen, can you rank all the Steven Spielberg movies? This is my answer to all of these types of questions. Like, can you rank all the Martin Scorsese movies? Can you rank all the... There's a lot of them. To do a ranking like that, I have to watch 30 movies. 30 movies times 2 hours per movie is 60 hours. 60 hours of watching movies to do one video. That's extremely difficult to justify doing. And people, whenever I say that, people are like, well, what do you mean? You did 58 Marvel movies. Why on earth would you not be able to do 25 Scorsese movies? It's not the same thing. My niche is Marvel. I grew my channel based off of Marvel rankings, and I lined it up with Endgame, which I knew would be a massive. If it only made $1 billion, that would be a disappointment. But it didn't make that. It made $3 billion. It's the biggest movie ever made, and so I lined up my biggest video with it. There's not an equivalent of that for Spielberg. There's not an equivalent of that for Scorsese. So it just makes it tough because I have to watch all the movies to be able to do it with integrity and have to do them within a fairly narrow window of time. That's tough. It's tough because it's just me. And to do my bag of tricks, to be able to give the insights that people like from my videos, that's me now watching it as a critic, absorbing it, writing notes. It's not, I watched Hook 30 years ago. I mean, I watched Hook like 5 years ago, but it's not I watched Hook 5 years ago and I'm talking about it. So I have to rewatch them. And so it's tough. So I'm looking for ways to do like the top 10 highest grossing movies, something that's a little bit more manageable, but ranking all of the movies of a director that's been making movies for 50 years, it's just really tough. Onur Film Reviews, how was your experience on the Four Nerds podcast? It was a lot of fun. Last night I was on the Four Nerds podcast. We just talked movies. It was cool because most of the guys on the panel are my age. They're all kind of guys in their late 30s, early 40s. And so as I talked about, we all were like, had the same copy of Batman, 89 on VHS. And so it's cool when you can talk with people that share experiences like that. It's pretty cool. Okay. Whew. Had more super chats come in. Francisco Gonzalez, with the super chat, thank you so much. What is your creepiest fan experience? It's tough to say on stuff like that. I have so many great experiences that I don't want to put any, I don't want to say anything that would negatively portray any specific person. The most unfortunate fan incident I had was when I first was recognized in person. First time I was ever recognized in person at a movie theater. And I was walking out of a theater and the movie, I drank too big of a soda. So I'd undone my belt, but I didn't want to use the bathroom there. I was like, I'll just go drive home. So I'm walking in the parking lot with my belt undone. My pants are falling up. I'm literally holding up my pants, but I'm like, no one's going to see me. Barely anyone's in this parking lot. I'm just going to make a run for it. And so I make a run for my car. And that's the first time I got recognized. So I was the creepy one in the incident, and we got a picture and everything. And in the picture, I'm holding up my pants and my belt sticking out. That was the first time I got recognized in person, which, unfortunate the way that played out. But some of the stuff that there's just people that they get aggressive with me in DMs, and they're like, "Why aren't you responding to me?" I respond to like 50 people every single day over DMs, like 50 legitimately on Instagram, 50. And some people, they don't respect that and they get weird with me. Some people hit on me. They're like, dude, looking hot. There's that stuff that happens. And I've had some weird ones where like 12-year-olds were like trying to talk to my kids because they think my kid, they just think they're gonna be friends with my kids, like get connect with me, and their parents had to get involved. Like, sorry, I'm so sorry, my son did that. So there's been a bunch of kind of odd things like that have happened. August Eric with the super chat, thank you so much. Favorite lightsaber color? I think green looks really good. The green one from Return of the Jedi just has a really nice, vibrant color to it. So I think that one's really cool. Cool guy with the super chat, thank you so much. Will you see Will you see Jurassic World Dominion in 2021? Of course. A Jurassic World movie? Of course I will be there. I will be all over a Jurassic World movie. I mean, any big franchise movie, I'm going to see it because I'm going to review it. But it's a Jurassic Park movie. It's part of the franchise that I've been watching since the original one came out over 25 years ago. So absolutely, I will be there to watch that movie. Yeah, sure, Harsh. Which film everyone says is a masterpiece, but you hate it? I mean, I don't hate very many movies, so the question is a little bit tough for me because I don't have an answer to that. I do not hate very many movies. Period. I just do not hate very many movies. So I can't think of a masterpiece that I would say, I hate this movie, because I just don't think that way. The one that I kind of mentioned from time to time, and it's not a movie I even hate, but like La La Land, people declare it the best musical. I heard people declare it the best musical in 50 years. It's a bit overstated, but I don't hate the movie. It's a good movie. I just don't like it as much as other people do. But like I just don't hate a lot of movies. Like Blade Runner, I don't like Blade Runner very much. I don't think it's bad. I just don't enjoy it, but people consider it a masterpiece. This is tricky. Daniel, favorite Stephen King adaptation, Shawshank Redemption. I like the It movies as well. So, there's a number in there, but the one that I think is the best is Shawshank Redemption. So different type of one. It's not the horror that people normally think of, but it's one that comes to mind for me. Majestic Demon, will there be an end of the year live stream with the limited amount of releases this year? Yeah, I mean, of course. I'm not gonna abandon what we've been the pattern just because of that. So yeah, of course we'll do the year-end live stream where I rank everything. Fred Carmichael, are you excited for Tom Hardy as James Bond? Thank you so much for the super chat. It's not going to happen. He's not going to be the new James Bond. I mean, I talked about this on my podcast this week, and then we also talked with Jarrett Griffin, and I talked about it on his channel, and I shared about it on my community tab. So it was 20 minutes of me talking about it, and I clipped it out, and I also posted about it on my Instagram. So always kind of check. I talk about things in a lot of different places, and I try and share it as much as I can so I can cover as many topics as I can. But it's not going to happen. It's not real. I mean, maybe I'll be shocked if this turns out to be real, because they don't cast A-listers. They've never cast A-listers as James Bond, and he's 43. That's really old to kick off an action franchise, to be the new guy. And they want someone that's going to be around for 10, 15 years. And 43 is really old to start something like that. And when they did that with Roger Moore, it's kind of made fun of now because they stuck around too long. So I don't believe it for a second. I don't know why it would be good for him, and I don't know why it would be good for them. So I don't see it happening. Some of you guys are asking questions I've already answered in here, kind of like even ones I've recently answered. So just if you're also don't request videos because I can't find questions when you do that, it makes it tough when you're asking stuff like, if your question is, can I make a video? I'm not going to answer that on here. So then I'm just not finding questions because you're asking things like that. Kendrick Lee, why do you think Spider-Man 1 is better than Spider-Man 2? If you know that I hold that opinion, then you've watched a video where I've answered that question. I answer that question in the video. So I'm confused as to why you are asking the question. I don't mean to be rude by that. Like I don't mean to be rude by it. Like I answer that question explicitly, repeatedly in all the rankings where I discuss that explicitly. Under Siege 1 or 2, Matt Reeves, director of The Batman, wrote Under Siege 2, but Under Siege 1 is the better film. I like Under Siege 2. People crap on it sometimes, but I really enjoy Under Siege 2. I enjoyed both of them. But Under Siege 1 is the better of the two films. All right. Asher Harmon with the super chat. Hi, Sean. I'm 14. You are my role model. Oh, thank you so much. I love film. How do I start a movie channel when all the people following me won't care about that? You are cool. Thanks. I mean, don't build it based off the people in real life. You know a few hundred people. There's 2 billion people on YouTube. When I started my channel, I didn't promote it to my friends. I built it based off of YouTube. You just start your channel, and YouTube is a search engine. It's a social networking website. It's a place to meet people, and that's how you grow your channel. You don't rely on the people you know in real life. They can help. They can give you a little boost, but YouTube itself is the best way to grow your YouTube channel. So learn how the algorithm works. Make a great product that when people click on it, they stick around. That's how you grow it. I've got 2 videos out there. One is called How to Start a Movie Channel, and the second one is How to Grow a Movie Channel. Those ones tell you what I did. They give you the quick version of it. I'm also making a course. Made a course on YouTube. It's about 15 hours long of content of me talking about YouTube and how I grew my channel and how you can too. And so that's something that, if you're interested in, if you're 14, probably you're not ready, probably not the target audience for it. But if you're someone that's really serious about it, I have a course. I'll be promoting it in the very near future on how to do all this stuff. But yeah, just, make great thumbnails, meet other movie channels out there. That's how you do it. 1534. Are you a fan of Game of Thrones? With the super chat, thank you so much on that. If you read the description on this one, there's several shows. I mentioned I haven't seen them. I have seen 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. I am not a fan of Game of Thrones. I've tried to like it. It has not worked for me, but unfortunately, the way that it works for other people. So unfortunately, no, I am not a fan of Game of Thrones. I actually don't even understand why everyone likes it. Juan Perez, would you rank the Spider-Man spinoffs? Love you. Love you too. Love all of my fans. Would you rank the Spider-Man spinoffs? I'm not quite sure what you're asking. If you're talking about when we get the Spider-Man extended, whatever Sony is calling their Marvel universe, will I rank those? Oh, of course I will, because that's what my channel is. That's what people subscribe for, is for me doing that stuff. So absolutely I will once that happens. Yeah. So that's my plan on all of that fun stuff. It's absolutely my plan. All right, back to the main questions on here. C4, what do you think of The Room? Think of Them Room. I think you mean The Room, the Tommy Wiseau film. It's one of the great bad movies of all time. One of the best so bad it's good movies of all time. I have a review of it on my channel. I have a couple videos on so bad they're good movies. What are your thoughts on Get Smart? I watched Get Smart all the time on Nick at Night growing up, so I've seen a whole lot of the episodes. Really enjoyed the Steve Carell film from 10 years ago. It's actually what got me into The Office. My wife and I went to go see Get Smart and went, we like the Steve Carell guy. He has a TV show, right? And that's how we started watching The Office. Fun fact on that one. But yeah, just a fun, clever show that, was a nice premise for a TV show as well as a movie. So I don't have anything interesting to say about it, unfortunately, but I have seen it, but not recently. I've also watched like Get Smart Again and the TV movies, and they had several revival TV shows, and I've seen them episodes of most of those. Woo! Fell behind again. James Anderson, can you watch and rank Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Amazing show after season 1. I can't imagine it will ever happen. Just stop and think about what it would kind of require for me to do that. I'd have to watch over 100 episodes. 100 episodes. That's 100 hours to do one video. Maybe I could do top 10. Maybe I could do a couple other things with it, but I can't justify doing that. I didn't like the 12 episodes I did see, so that's a really tall request. So I don't think I would ever, I can't imagine ever doing that. Rick Reviews, with the super chat, thanks so much. Will you review each WandaVision episode? No, I don't enjoy doing TV show reviews, week-to-week reviews. It's not very fun. And I don't mean that in kind of a rude sense or anything like that. Like they're the type of people that tune in for a TV show review they really want you to get the details right. And when I've done week by week reviews of TV shows, I've always kind of gotten burned in the comment section. So I haven't enjoyed it. So I normally review the first episode and then maybe rank the episodes of the season if it's kind of a single run one. Maybe do a season review, maybe a spoiler review. I'll do stuff like that, but I don't plan on doing week to week reviews. It's very unlikely that I would do it. Maybe if I loved it or something like that, but I doubt that would happen because I just haven't had a good experience doing week to week reviews like that. No AG with the super chat. Thanks so much. What do you think about Black Widow being delayed again? I wanted it to be released this year. I don't think too much of it at all, because that's just the reality now. I've been talking about in my podcast this kind of the whole last 3 or 4 months. They should just clean the slate of all the 2020 movies, unless someone is willing to take the gamble. They gambled on Tenet. It didn't pay off. Whoever's willing to take the next gamble, do that. But besides that, they should just clean the slate because that's the reality of the world that we're in. And it would be better for everybody if they cleaned the slate and didn't put dates if they're not going to stick to them. So I don't have any new specific thoughts on it. It's interesting that they changed the order and now Shang-Chi is coming out before the Eternals. Besides that, it's just kind of like, yeah, that's the reality of now. Horsehead TV, could you do all Stephen King movies ranked? To what I've said repeatedly in this live stream, that will never happen. There's 70 of them. And at 70, And most of them are ones that people haven't seen. They're like TV movies or like forgotten things from the 80s. Very few of them are big hits. 70 movies times 2 hours is 140 hours. Some of them are miniseries, so they're longer than 2 hours. 140 hours plus to do one video. There's no way to justify that. Think of how many videos I couldn't do, how many movies I wouldn't watch because I was doing that one video. 140 hours for one video. When you think about it that way, like it's just not possible. So I've thought of some other things to kind of do, maybe top 10 highest grossing, but anytime you're like, hey, Sean, can you rank? And it's like this big, gigantic list. It's very unlikely I can do that. Extremely unlikely. There's only a handful of franchises where I can justify that or that I can do it while having a family. That's just the kind of the reality of it. Daniel Skinner, I believe, with the super chat, thanks so much. I believe you watched Megamind. Thoughts on it? Yes, I watched Megamind for the first time, I don't know, 3-4 days ago with my kids. Someone sent it to me in my fan mail, so I finally was able to watch that. Cooper Wheat asked the same question. What did you think of Megamind? Big fan, by the way. I watched it for the first time, and I had fun with it. I think there's a couple problems in the scenario of making everyone a villain, or someone's being mean to him, or the hero is wimping out. I think there's some problems in it where it's tough to have a movie where you're rooting for anybody when everybody's misbehaving. There's some issues like that. But overall, it's like a fun premise in the superhero world, doing something totally different with it. Rando Commando with the super chat. Thank you so much. Why don't they make movies like The Sandlot or Heavyweights? Man, I don't know. That's the great question. That is the great question of why on earth have they stopped making kind of these mid-budget kind of movies that used to be when I was growing up back in the 90s, we had a lot of them, whether they were Sandlot type films or whether they were action thrillers, but they weren't blockbusters. They're right in that middle zone. They just don't do a lot of that anymore. And some of it is even Disney made a lot of films like that. They just kind of did these live action original kind of films, different than Mighty Ducks and things like that. And then they just stopped and they only started making these jumbo blockbusters that cost $200 million. And I think that might change soon because of the year 2020, because they shot themselves in the foot. They have nothing they can put out. They put out Mulan and got backlash, scandals, controversy, and didn't make as much money as they'd hoped. And they can't put out these Marvel movies. They have to make $1 billion, and that's just not going to happen on streaming. So they're in trouble. So I think things are going to change because of that. Toys for Fun, which do you think has more hype, WandaVision or The Mandalorian? Please answer. You're awesome. It's tough to say. I mean, I'm a lot more hyped for Mandalorian Season 2, and so by default, I would say that one. But in talking to some other people, it seems like they're a lot more excited for WandaVision than I am. But I don't know. It's tough to get a good read on it. It's like the only MCU thing we're going to get this year. So my WandaVision trailer reaction did better than my Mandalorian one. And in a certain sense, that kind of tells you what people are more excited for. So, yeah, there you have it. Screen Super, do you think Mandalorian Return will be a flop or a hit? I mean, it will be a hit. There's no chance it will flop. The question is, will it be good? I don't have any reason to think it will be bad because I thought the first season was good and they've only been able to learn things since then. So I would assume it would be good. The Amazing Webhead with the super chat. Thank you so much. You should do reviews on Spectacular Spider-Man and Avengers Mightiest Heroes. They are the last good Marvel cartoons that need attention. Same thing I keep kind of repeating here over and over again. To review a TV show, I have to watch seasons of a TV show, which takes a lot longer than watching a movie. That's what makes it impossible. That's the reason it's so tough to do it, because it's not so simple as just hopping on and watching it real quick. They're long, and that limits what I can do. No AG with the super chat. Thank you so much. Do you think if the Zack Snyder Cuts Justice League does a good job, they will make a second one with Zack Snyder as the director? And I don't know. It's tough to say. I wouldn't gravitate towards thinking that anything like that's on the table. Here's the problem with discussing it. Like, do you think that they'll do this based off the Zack Snyder Cut? The problem with all of that is everything about the Snyder Cut is unprecedented. There's no equivalent to it. This has never been done before, where a movie was released that had this kind of behind the scenes weirdness. And then they went, just kidding. We're going to give the director $70 million to make a director's cut. That's unprecedented. There's nothing like it. It's not a director's cut. It's a whole different movie. There's no even term for it. So when the question is, what do you think they'll do afterwards? Well, no clue, because this has never been done before. Zack Snyder seems like a pretty cool guy. He seems to be, considering everything, he's been pretty chill, and he doesn't seem to burn bridges. People seem to like him. So I would guess it's on the table in his mind. So who knows? But it depends on how it's received. I think his movies are too divisive. So I think if he's able to close out his arc, that's probably best for him to then go on and do something else. Because there's a lot of people, like, obviously there's a very loud group of people that are big fans of his stuff. There's a lot of people that don't like his DC movies, though. So I wouldn't think that's where things would be headed. Please answer my super chat I sent. I'm making my way through them. I'm just behind. There's a lot of them. I don't think I've missed any. I'm just not caught up. Next one, super chat on here. With super chat. Thanks so much. Freddy's Dead or Seed of Chucky? Ugh. I thought Seed of Chucky's a grosser movie, so I'll go with Freddy's Dead. Freddy's Dead, they're both awful. They're both disrespectful to their franchises, but Seed of Chucky is like a straight up, like, gross movie. So I think that one is worse. So Freddy's Dead is better only by default because of that. Yashaswi Harsh. I'm very sorry if I mispronounced your name. Thank you for the super chat. Opinion on storytelling in movies versus video games. Well, they're designed to be different things. A movie is designed to be an experience where you watch it and see it unfold. And a game is designed to be created a user experience of you doing things. They're designed to be action-based. What actions can I take through my thumbs? And the other one is designed to be passive. So that's the reason it's so difficult to translate video games to movies, because the nature of storytelling of a video game is designed for something very different from the experience of what makes something compelling. The tricks that you use to suck someone in with a movie is not the same tricks that you use for a video game. So I don't know exactly what you're going for, but on the question to give you the most satisfying answer, but that's the issue, is that when you design something to have fun pushing buttons, it's not the same. It's not necessarily character based, because there's not the decisions that he makes in this conversation. It's not quite the same to do a character arc in that fashion as it is in the format of movies. Or in other ways, they're also a lot longer, the storytelling, the way that they do kind of the video games these days, where it's like 40-hour campaigns condensed into a 2-hour movie. So it's just different. In certain ways, it's kind of like more like a TV show. A level is like an episode of a TV show. So there's a lot of different things on some of that to consider. Some of you guys are asking questions about things I have videos on, like my favorite movies of all time. Always be sure on some of these. Like, I'm skipping over your questions because I'm going to I just have a video on them, so I don't want to go into that. Hugh, has screenwriting ever interested you? Yes, that's actually why I know how a lot of the stuff I do on movies. Like, my background is all like, where's here in front of me, right here in front of me, literally. I read a lot of books on screenplays because I was interested in screenwriting, and I listened to the Script Notes podcast, and that's where I got all the language that I used for my reviews. It was to work on writing, and I used my writing to transition into analysis. So that's kind of the way it more actually played out. Okay, Pedro with Superman. Thanks so much. Do you think Superman, it's outdated? Some says he's overpowered, it's boring for modern times, and there's no plans in the future for him in cinema. I don't agree with that he's outdated. There's always ways that you can update it. There's always ways that you can contextualize it for now. And I don't agree with these sorts of sentiments at all. And, it's people be like, well, Superman Returns didn't do well. Well, Superman Returns was a very dated version of the character. That was the Donner version in the 21st century, after we already had the Man of Steel comic book run in the late 80s, after Donner's Superman came out, that changed the mythology and gave us a whole new version of Lex Luthor that is not in Superman Returns. And then people point at Man of Steel like, well, Man of Steel didn't necessarily resonate. That was a Zack Snyder interpretation. So, there's all kinds of things that have connected with people. So I absolutely think the character can still work today. Here's the question you were looking for. Young Trip with your super chat. I didn't miss it. I just wasn't caught up to it. What do you want to see Disney do with Lucasfilm? I want them I want them to get a new head. I think Kathleen Kennedy has just shown she doesn't. As the head of Lucasfilm and everything they've done with Star Wars, she's done a bad job. So I think they need a new head that is a creative person, not a producer person. Someone that has a vision for where to take things. That's what they need. And I don't want them to. I want them to go to a different time and space with Star Wars. And I would love to see more Indiana Jones, but I don't want to see 80-year-old Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. Drew Sinclair had a super chat, but no question. Thank you so much for the super chat. Kylo, have you seen with super chat? Thanks so much. Have you seen Edge of Tomorrow? If so, how was it? Oh, of course I have. I talked about it on my channel many times. I even talked about it in my video this week on the MCU. It's a very fun movie that was marketed very poorly. So I recommend everybody check out Edge of Tomorrow. I talk about that movie quite a bit on my channel. Big fan of that one. Asher Harmon with the super chat. Thanks so much. Have you seen Fantastic Mr. Fox or Caroline? Unfortunately, I haven't. I'm sorry about that one. I wish I could give you a better answer, but I don't have one for you. So sorry. TGD Natick with the super chat. Thank you so much. Have you got a dream cast for Moon Knight? I think if he could get a buffer, then David Tennant would be. If he could get buffer, if he could get more muscular, David Tennant would be a great choice. I've never read any Moon Knight, and I've never seen anything that he's in. I don't have a point of reference on Moon Knight, so unfortunately, I really don't. I don't know the character well enough to be able to fan cast him to say anything meaningful. That's kind of one of my I don't know what the phrase would be. It's a weak spot in my knowledge of Marvel stuff. I don't know hardly anything about Moon Knight. I haven't read anything, played anything like that. I have very little knowledge to be able to have any insight whatsoever as to who would be a good pick for that character. Popcorn 799 with super chat. Thanks so much. How would you have ended Finn's arc in The Rise of Skywalker? It's impossible to answer that question because the problem with Finn's arc in that movie is that they didn't set him up for an arc in Last Jedi. They set him on a side quest, but they didn't give him an arc that could be paid off. I think what they should have done is really taken the stuff that Trevorrow was looking to do with what JJ did do in Rise of Skywalker. And so JJ hinted he's force sensitive. I would have gone with that. And I would have gone with Trevorrow's Spartacus stuff. And you have him throughout the course of these movies becomes kind of a legendary figure amongst, he's a figure that frees a bunch of people that became stormtroopers. Like he leads this kind of rebellion of sorts of former stormtroopers to free them. And you even kind of have this idea of realizing the stormtroopers are slaves of sorts because they were kidnapped and reprogrammed into it. So when you see our heroes shooting stormtroopers, we should feel disgusted by that because it's not right. And I don't know what the answer is because they're trying to kill them, but it's a bad situation. And so you create an arc that gives really depth to Star Wars where it's saying something, and you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to be preachy, but you tell it through storytelling, and you make him a Spartacus figure and make him a little bit force sensitive, a little bit of a force user. And suddenly he's really interesting. He's one of the most interesting characters all of a sudden. You just do the opposite of what they did in these last two movies, which was totally waste him as a character. Platinum Man, what thoughts on the future of the DCEU? I've talked about this a bunch with my DC fandom coverage because that was all about the future of the DCEU. I'm optimistic. You can just check out those videos though. I don't have anything to add beyond that. This is easy. What's your favorite Funko Pop? This one right here. Jackson Dworak, one of my supporters over on Patreon, had me design me a custom Funko. Even has a I Talk Movies Too Much shirt on here and right over there, holding the silver play button. He had that made for me. That's cool. That's when someone there's not even words to it. There's not a way to explain the how that kind of makes you feel when someone makes something like that for you. It's so thoughtful and considerate. It's really cool. Magnus Johansen, can you say one good thing about Superman 4? I could say a lot of good things about Superman 4. Christopher Reeves is still great in it. He's great in the role. The scenes in Smallville capture the small town sense from the previous movies. It's moves at a brisk pace. I find the movie entirely watchable. It's terrible, but it's entirely watchable. I watch that one more than Superman 3. Superman 3 is a better made movie, but I watch it more. But I think there's plenty of things you can say positive about that movie. Okie dokie. Questions. Let's seen this one in here a few times. Rudy, thoughts on Truman Show? I haven't watched it in a long time, so I can't really say anything meaningful, but I dug it. Every time I have seen it, I've liked it. It's a good, well-made movie. That it was one of the movies that helped us see that Jim Carrey was an actor, not just an entertainer. Will you rank the Disney Plus original Marvel shows in your MCU ranking? No. Will I ever do that? I'll probably do it at some point because people will ask me. I don't like to rank TV shows and movies together, period. I just don't like to. They're two different formats. An 8-hour season versus a 2-hour movie, they're different things. So I don't like to compare them, and I wouldn't want to put them together. Sometimes I do these off things, like I did the 31 on 31 with Marvel and DC. That's different from what I normally do. So will that ever happen? Probably at some point in time I'll do it, but that will not be a regular thing. Also, it just becomes too cumbersome. There's already 23 movies. That, like, it takes me 2.5 hours to shoot those videos. Like 2.5 hours of trying to say it right, because I know a lot of people are going to watch them. And then it takes me like 10 hours to edit it, because I know a lot of people are going to watch it, so it has to be edited. So you're talking about, we're going to have 5-6 movies in the MCU come out in a year. We're going to have 5 movies come out, plus 4 TV shows. So add 9 onto 23. We're already 31. That's just too much. There's a bunch of reasons I wouldn't want to do that. Whew. All right. Footy Man 123 with the super chat. Thank you much. Thoughts on the Watchmen show and movie. So I have a review of the first episode of the Watchmen, the pilot, on my channel. I dug the season. I enjoyed it enough. I think at times it get maybe a little bit too self-important. I didn't fully buy into some of it as much as some people did, but it's well made. I enjoyed it well enough, but I just didn't have any big opinions about it the way a lot of other people did. The movie, it's a little bit tough to say. I'd read the graphic novel. Many times. I'm not as many as some people. I'm not an expert on it. I don't want to misrepresent myself, but I read it multiple times before I saw the movie. And it's tough because which version of the movie do you watch? There's 3 different versions, and there's about an hour and a half swing between which version you watch. So it's about as good of an adaptation as you can do, but it's a tough thing to convert. Dale Faulkner with the super chat. Thank you so much. Your video on your personal addiction has positivity to so many people. If you had one piece of advice for those struggling with addiction, what would it be? Well, it's in the video. It's in my story. If you're struggling with addiction, the most important thing you can do is just humble yourself. It's all, you got to surrender. You got to stop thinking I can control this. Addiction is a disease at its core, and I can fix myself. I can overcome it this time. This time it'll be different. One last drink, one last time. And you just have these thoughts. It's all delusions. It's all lies. It's they talk about in 12 steps, like the first step is like stepping out of the crazy, like acknowledging that you're in the insanity. They talk about the insanity a lot in the 12 steps. And that's a big thing. And that's why you just have to humble yourself and surrender. Have someone else in your life that gets to make decisions. I didn't carry around a wallet. I didn't carry around money or credit cards for like a year after the year I went sober. I didn't carry money around because I didn't trust myself. I didn't want to create a scenario where if I had a moment of weakness, I had access to be able to get myself in trouble. So I just went, I don't trust myself. I'm going to give this to you. I'm a church person. I went to my church and I just asked, what do you want me to do? I did whatever they told me to do. Other people got to make my plan. I didn't make my plan because my plan got me in trouble. So surrender, humility. Don't trust. Like, it's not about me fixing myself. It's about other people. Well, I'm a religious person, so it's also about God and humility. God opposes the proud and gives grace to the humble. That's the answer right there from my perspective. Ryan Geisen, what is the oldest movie you have seen? I don't know, like King Kong. King Kong, probably from the 30s. I think that's from like 1933, something like that. That's probably the oldest I've seen. Super chat from Benton Xavier. Have you seen Ingrid Bergman film? An Ingrid Bergman film? I don't believe that I have. I don't think I have actually seen any. I'm sorry. I wish I had a better answer for you that was more satisfying. Young Trip with the super chat. Thank you so much. Thoughts on where the Mad Max series is going? Well, I don't know where it's going. George Miller is almost 80 years old, and he is not known for being quick moving and prolific. So, you know, the idea of a Furiosa movie sounds interesting. Anything in that world, I'm interested in. I'm down for the whole world. Anything in that universe. So in that sense, I just want there to be a future. I even like that the way that they treated Mad Max Fury Road, that it is a sequel, but it's a different actor. It's the James Bond method. So I think there's a lot more that you can do there as long as you have the right person continuing to take us to that world. So I don't have a specific thought on it. I just want more to happen. I'm been a fan of the franchise for about 25 years, since mid 90s, somewhere in there, when I first watched The Road Warrior and Mad Max on cable television. So I'm always excited for more. Sam Phillips with Super Chat. Hey, dude, just wanted to say say that I love your content. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been tough this year. It's been good to like get me out of my comfort zone and have to do different stuff, but my whole channel was built based off of a new big blockbusters come out. I review the movie and then I rank the franchise. That's what my channel is. And we don't have new blockbusters this year. We haven't for 6 months. So, it's kind of been difficult. And of all people in the world, there's people with much bigger struggles than mine. And I don't mean to complain or anything like that. Of problems to have, mine are very, very minor. But it's not the easiest thing in the world to have my channel in the year 2020. So I've had to be creative. And so I appreciate it that people are still checking in, still watching, and my top 10s and everything like that. Joe, are you excited for Godzilla vs. Kong? Yeah, I am. I've enjoyed this MonsterVerse. They're hit or miss in certain ways, but I've enjoyed them. And the director's the guy that did You're Next. So I really enjoyed that movie. So I'm always hopeful that his movies will capture the magic of that one. And so I don't, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful on it. I don't have a deeper thought than that, but since we don't have a trailer, I can't give specific thoughts, but that's kind of where I'm at on that one. James Walstrom, would you be open to remaking all the Harry Potter movies? Not anytime soon. I don't think there's any reason to. There's nothing to add by doing that. There's a couple of special effects here and there that haven't aged very well, but they're captured perfectly fine, even though they're now 20 years old. The first one is about 20 years old. It's aged besides a couple shots fine. If they announced they're remaking it's a cynical move for money. That's not an artistic decision. There's nothing nothing significant to improve upon. Those are good translations, good adaptations of the books into films. So it's just cynical studio stuff if they were to remake them. So not anytime soon. I cannot see anything valuable in doing that. This question's been here a million times. Dwayne M., Marvel or DC? Yes. I don't believe in any sort of competition between the two. Most people don't either. I'm not going to pick between one or the other. Platinum Man, do you have to watch or like every category to be a good YouTube channel for movie reviews? No, it's almost the opposite. It's the opposite of that. It's very difficult to grow a movie channel if you're like, I like everything. I watch everything. Movies. If you just do that, there's too much competition. You're competing against everyone. So the more you have something specific, that's the secret to growing a channel. You have to niche down. You have to have a specific thing, a specific audience that you're going for, that you offer specific value to. That is how you grow a channel. It's not liking everything. So it helps to narrow it down, because most people don't like everything. So when you like what they like, that's what works. Recorded Entertainment, please rank the Lego movies. I have. I have. Sometimes people kind of ask me questions like this, and I get kind of confused because I don't know. Did it not show up in search, or did you not look for it? I did. Last time a Lego movie came out, I ranked them. I think I've ranked them twice. Zoomza is cool. Have you watched Zodiac? I actually haven't, and I'm going to watch it very soon. My wife actually wants to watch it, which is pretty shocking to me. I'm watching all the David Fincher movies in anticipation for Mank, when I'll rank his movies. So I'll do a ranking where I give my thoughts on all David Fincher's movies. I think in October is when they've said it's coming out, but pretty soon that should be happening. So be on the lookout. Okay. All right, back. Let's see. Had one more super chat come in from Pedro. What does your family think about their dad and husband being a YouTube star? You are welcome to visit amazing beaches in Mexico. I need to take a vacation. I need to do something like that. So, what does my family think? And thank you for the super chat. What does my family think about it? I get to work from home. My kids just don't know any different. There's not like a point of reference for me. They're young enough that they barely remember me delivering paint. They don't remember me when I was in church world. So they don't have a point of reference for what a normal job would be like. So some people, they think, wouldn't it be weird if your dad was like, Sean Chandler talking about movies and we got to do this and he's like YouTube famous, but they don't know any different. They don't know not having me as their dad. And their memories are of me taking them to movies and making reviews. Started the channel 4 years ago, so my oldest was only 4 when I started the channel. So you don't remember a lot from when you're 4. And so my daughter would have been 2. So she really doesn't remember anything before the channel. So yeah, it's been fun. And my wife has just always been supportive of it. She knows I'm a creative person. I'm a driven person that always has kind of created stuff. So when I started having an interest in this, she's always kind of encouraged me down that path. And then it turned into a career where I have a lot of freedom and flexibility and do something I enjoy. So that's all good. And before I had the YouTube channel, I was an alcoholic. So the comparison of me as a guy that was on a train wreck, I was stressed out, and that led to me drinking. I was not like clinically depressed, but a version of depressed. It was a very ugly, nasty version of myself that was a bad person that lied to my wife, compared to guy that watches movies and has fun watching movies. She much prefers that guy. So, it was part of my recovery, becoming a healthy person again. That's a good husband and father. So she's pro all of that. Here's reviews. Most challenging part of lockdown in relation to movies, press screenings. Well, I wouldn't refer to any of it that. I mean, the most challenging part is that there's just not big releases. I don't know if this is a personality quirk or a positive thing, but I kind of intentionally didn't try super hard to get on press lists to get screenings for streaming services. So I've only been on the Netflix access for about 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks. Like 2 weeks ago, I reviewed Babysitter early and then Enola Holmes this week. Those are the 2 Netflix movies I've gotten through screening access. I could have been on those lists a year or 2 years or something like that. I just wasn't. And I'm not on Disney Plus. I paid for Mulan. And when people heard about that, I had other reviewers like message me, dude, here's the PR person. You shouldn't be paying for that. You can get it. And so there's been I wouldn't call that a challenge. The challenge is just that there's not big releases. That's what my channel is. That's what my whole channel is, like these like Wonder Woman, Star Wars, these event films. And without those, it's just tough because that's what fuels the algorithm of my channel, introducing new people kind of joining in, and they discover one ranking and they go, what else does he have? And they watch other ones. So like my channel I've gotten enough views to make it sustainable this year, but it hasn't grown. It's literally just the people on the stream, you guys that are my most devoted fans, keep watching, but it's not growing. It's not. So that's the piece that's kind of missing in some of this. Super chat from Daniel Skinner. Last super chat. Hey, you don't have to stop giving me super chats. I'll appreciate all of them. Seriously though, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. You think it's a good idea to have Ant-Man 3 being Scott mentoring the young Avengers and having them fight Kang but not kill him? I don't know if that's a rumored plot. I don't know what you're proposing right there. I don't default to thinking Scott Lang would be a good mentor to young Avengers because he's not by his nature a leader type. He's a good guy, but he's not inherently superhero guy. He's excited that he's on his journey. He's trying to do the right thing, but he's not proactive. He was recruited by this other guy and then had to be convinced to do it. And it's not that he's going out there motivated to become a hero. So making him the mentor to young Avengers, it's not the person that defaults into my mind of the most natural fit to do that. I don't know if what they should do with Kang. I don't have a strong enough opinion because I don't I don't normally think that far down the line as to what they should do in regard to things like that. Yeah. Over here, had some super chats come in. Nope, got to refresh. Sorry about that. Once again, I've got like I see these things in two different places, and it makes it a little bit tough to find things. So I'll answer this one while I find some of these missing super chats. Do you watch basketball? I just don't have time to watch any sports. I don't have time to watch any sports like at all. Because I'm watching movies. It just eats up all my time. Pedro, why did you never watch Avatar the Last Airbender? Questions like this can be frustrating because it's built into it that some sort of assumption that I should have watched it. The show debuted when I was like 25. It's not a show designed for 25-year-olds. So why did you never watch it? Questions like that read in kind of a weird manner. I didn't watch because 25. I was in college. I was engaged soon afterwards. I was a newlywed. I had my first adult job. I was not watching things like The Last Airbender. I'm not the target audience for this show. And like I am 38 years old. I'm a lot older than most of you. So that you have to keep that in mind. Like, why did I not watch this thing that was a big part of your childhood in the year 2008? Because of my age. It's as simple as that. Woo, we had a bunch of super chats come in. Matt G had a sticker. Thank you so much. Mr. Potato. Hey, Sean, thoughts on Whiplash if you've ever seen it? Yeah, I've talked about it on my channel. I talked about it in my top 10 favorite movies of the last decade video. So yeah, I really enjoy the movie Whiplash, a cool movie about the great lengths people will go in search of greatness. So it's a very cool study of all of that sort of thing. Great performances. J.K. Simmons is terrifying in it as this coach, but weirdly interesting at the same time. So and then the weirdest, exciting third act of all time, as it's a drum solo, and it's a very cool drum solo that's actually exciting. Oh, Matt G had a super chat just to say, saw Empire Strikes Back in the theater last night. Oh, very cool. Very cool. I was hoping I can take my kids to see some of these classics while they're on the theater right now. Bryce with the super chat. Thank you so much. Has Rise of Skywalker gotten better or worse for you since seeing it? Much worse. Much worse. I don't know if I'd say much worse. But it's significantly worse because of all the stories we've heard about behind not having a plan. And there was like, I enjoyed the fun of being on the roller coaster ride, but then when you think about it in terms of the other films, it's very disappointing. Kendrick Lee with the super chat. Why do you think Last Jedi was so divisive? There's no secret to why it was divisive. They made Luke Skywalker a cynical old man that tried to kill his student. That's why it's divisive. They took the things that seemed to be where J.J. Abrams was heading with Snoke, and then it just undercut that entirely. Force Awakens clearly teased Rey's backstory about Maz Kanata being like, who are you? And then the answer is she's nobody. Those are divisive, and they killed off Luke Skywalker. Those are divisive things to do. It's as simple as that. Those are not like easily accessible. Like, yeah, Luke Skywalker goes from the most hopeful character in the universe that was able to overcome the dark side to redeem his father to, I'm giving up on my student. I'm going to kill him while he's sleeping. That is a tough pill to swallow, and inherently makes people be like, you've ruined Luke Skywalker. You took the most hopeful character and you made him a cynical old man by deconstructing him. And it's deconstructing the Jedi. It's all of that stuff that people don't really appreciate. Nathan Taylor had a super chat. Thank you so much. Favorite Drew Barrymore movie? Wedding Singer. Wedding Singer, easily. Same, my favorite Adam Sandler from Wedding Singer. Just funny, romantic, 80s nostalgia, all kinds of stuff that I love. Film Geeks with the super chat. Thanks so much. When people ask what you do for work, do you say you're a YouTuber or a movie critic? It depends on the context. It's kind of a weird I mean, like, I'm not even a movie critic. That's not primarily the way that I identify it. Movie critic isn't the primary one that I would say, because I'm known for rankings. So it's weird because I talk about movies on YouTube. So it's all about who I'm talking to and what I think they will understand. Old people don't understand what it is to be a YouTuber. Like, people older than, even some people my age don't understand how I make a living on YouTube. And so I have to explain it to them. So then it's like, yeah, I review movies on YouTube, and they kind of get it. So it's all a matter of who I'm talking to as to how I massage it to explain it. But it's tricky. It's not like, for you guys that watch my channel, you experientially can pretty easily categorize it. But there's not a single word that to average guy, like when I went to buy paint to paint this wall, and I'm trying to explain to the guy that works at Home Depot what I do for a living, it's like, wow, I didn't know that was a thing that you could do. I was like, yeah, it's new. It didn't exist when I was in high school. It didn't exist when I was in college. And it's something that, has emerged and become pretty prominent over the last 10 years. But to a lot of people, they don't know what it is. So it's interesting to try and explain who I am and what I do to people. This one keeps being in here. Could you talk about your thoughts about the new former Scoob movie universe? I don't really know what you're asking. You keep asking the question, but it's phrased in a weird way. I didn't like Scoob. I didn't like that it was setting up a universe and cared more about setting up a universe than it did telling a Scooby-Doo story. So I thought that was weird. So I didn't like it. JT Bricks, can you do a series where you watch and review watch the worst movies you've ever seen and deserve the hate or not? I just don't like to be the negative guy. I don't want to copy Chris Stuckman and do hilariosities. Actually, beyond that, I've met Chris Stuckman. I met him a year and 2 days ago at Fantastic Fest. I met Chris Stuckman. We watched a movie next to each other, and I asked him, "Hey, man, my wall looks like yours." He's like, "Dude, I don't care that your wall is blue. It's a corner. Who cares?" But if you were to do like hilariosities, that would rub me the wrong way. That's literally what he said to me. So I don't want to do a series where I like trash bad movies, make it funny, and basically rip off hilariosities, because that's literally the thing that Chris Stuckman told me he didn't want me to do. But I just don't. I've thought about it. That's a few that I was thinking about doing, but I just don't. That doesn't interest me. That doesn't what excite me about movies. Like, here's a crappy movie. That's not interesting. But like right now, I'm watching the David Fincher movies to do a ranking when Mank comes out. The movie I hate the most is Alien 3. So I'll probably do a review of Alien 3, but that's to elaborate on an opinion that I say in these live streams frequently. The most hated movie is Alien 3. So people go, "Oh, why is it your most hated movie?" Well, now I can make a review elaborating on that and saying the positives, because Alien 3 is not the worst movie ever made. It's just a movie that I don't like. But also like the worst stuff that I've ever seen, it's more like direct-to-video. It's small stuff that people haven't watched. When I review stuff that's like obscure, nobody watches it, because my channel's known for big franchise movies. When I cover that stuff, I get clicks. When I cover even things I'm excited about, but that are kind of older things, like when I did my Rambo review series, I love those movies. I've watched those movies my whole life. Didn't get a lot of people to click on them, though, comparatively. I don't do retro reviews very often because people don't click on them. Everybody wants me to review older movies, but they want me to review different older movies. Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, have you ever watched any of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoons? I mean, of course I watched the original one. Everybody my age watched the original one, and then I watched that original set of films. So I've seen that one and a ton of those episodes. I watched them all the time, and then I don't have them right here, but I have some DVDs that have the original series that my kids watch from time to time. But I haven't watched any of the other shows, though, because I wasn't the right age for them. Will you rank all the movies directed by the Coen brothers anytime soon? Did you see all of them? I haven't seen all of them, but that's not how I do my rankings. It's not, have I seen all of them? I rewatch all the movies before I do a ranking. I think it's a little bit dishonest to rank something or review. Like when you guys click on a video, you want Sean Chandler, movie critic guy, to discuss it. And that's very different from I watched Oh Brother, Where Art Thou 7 years ago. No, I think I've seen it. I think it was only 5 years ago that I last watched Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, and I've seen it multiple times. But like for me to do my tricks that made you like my channel or made you want me to review Coen Brothers movies, I'd have to rewatch all of them next to each other to comparatively decide which one goes where and have current Sean Chandler thoughts on them. And that's what makes it very difficult to do that. Nicholas, are you excited for WandaVision? I did a trailer reaction that has my thoughts on that. Comic Nerd, what's your favorite old Disney movie before the Renaissance? Probably Sleeping Beauty. I think that's just kind of a gorgeous animated film that kind of has prestige, but it's I think has better kind of the storytelling that evolved a little bit since the golden era. Like Sleeping Beauty, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs feels like the first animated movie of all time in the way that the story's told because of how they animated, because of how animation had been done before that. And you get to Sleeping Beauty and it feels like a cinematic storytelling and it's sweeping and epic and stuff like that. Questions. Toby Coyote had a Coyote. I don't know how that's pronounced. Thank you for the super chat. What are the things in Batman v Superman that you like? I give that movie a positive review. I like that movie. Every time I've talked about it, I've been thumbs up on it. So I've done rankings where I've discussed it and I've said very positive things about it. So I have plenty of videos where I've said positive things. So the question seems like it's phrased like, hey, what are your positive thoughts on this movie? I've very frequently said positive things about that movie. The thing that stands out probably the best to me is the way that Bruce Wayne is written as this kind of older guy that's very reflective, jaded, burned by what he's seen, and driven by anger. I think that's interesting. And whether the execution of the Martha scene was good or not, there's a great idea in it, packaged in something not so great. Like their moms being the same name and the way the scene plays is weird. The idea that what Bruce Wayne is missing is that this is a person. He just sees an enemy. And so in a moment, when he realizes, oh, he's a guy, he has to reprocesses everything very quickly and realizes he's in the wrong. That's the humanity that he lost in it, that Alfred has been warning him about. That's the stuff that's interesting. Of course, Zack Snyder's great with visuals, great with the action. So all of those things stand out too. Blue Page 18, have you seen Person of Interest? Yeah, I loved Person of Interest. It's actually from Jonathan Nolan, Christopher Nolan's brother. It was a CBS procedural with Jim Caviezel and Harold Linus from Lost. And it's kind of almost like a superhero show. It's an action show, a sci-fi show. That's episodic, but has a meta narrative about this machine that can predict crime. So I was a big fan of it. And I watched from season 1 until the end of the show when it ended. Benjamin Herzog had a super chat, but there's no question with it. So I'll try and see if I can see your name pop up in the chat if you're asking a question in there. Shane Dalton, have you watched The Boys? What's your opinion on it? Yeah, I watched The Boys. I have a review of season 1 on my channel. So that has my full thoughts on it. I mean, I watched it the weekend it debuted, gave my thoughts on it. I've only seen 1 episode of season 2, and it didn't hook me. I didn't dislike it or anything, but it wasn't designed in a way that made me intrigued me. I'm like, and I can't wait to see what's happening next. So I've only seen 1 episode of season 2, so I don't have deep thoughts on it, but I enjoyed season 1 quite a bit. And a very different take on the superhero genre, kind of turning it on its head of like, what if these guys really did exist? Would that be a good thing? Maybe not. And combining it with a lot of different stuff on culture these days and the way that we have people in power in the media that are spin doctors, and incorporating all that stuff together is very fun and interesting. JT Garcia, are you going to watch Better Call Saul? Absolutely. Yeah. Leading up to the end of the show, I'll watch it and rank the seasons. So I absolutely plan on doing that. Here we go. The Flick Quick. Hey, man. Thanks so much for the super chat. None franchise that disappointed you the most after watching it. Name the franchise that disappointed you the most after watching it. The one that immediately comes to mind is The Matrix when it became a franchise. That's the one that, when it was a standalone movie, it's like the best. It's one of the best action movies, one of the best sci-fi movies, one of the best martial arts movies Hollywood's ever given us. And then they turned it into a franchise, and it made the original one worse. They took everything that was cool about the first one and then just chopped its legs off by deconstructing it with the architect at the end of the second movie. And then the third one was just like this blah movie that didn't have anything that was great about the first ones. So it was just really kind of killed it for me. Trying to think if there's an example of one that just period the franchise was a big disappointment that I was really excited about that didn't work. Trying to think if there's one like that. Like The Hobbit as a inside franchise. I've only watched them once, and I thought it was bizarre that they turned that into 9 hours worth of story. And so, as someone that's not even the biggest fan of that world, was even more like, why are they stretching this out so much? What were they thinking? And other franchises that just disappointed me. Those are the ones. That's what comes to mind right off the bat. Have you seen Dark? I have not. People keep telling me I should. People keep saying that I need to, but I haven't. Carissa Luton Movie Talk. Have you seen Speed and True Lies? Absolutely. Those are some of the first R-rated movies my mom let me see in the theater way back in the day. I saw True Lies actually at a drive-in, and it was a double feature. Movie number one over here, we watched Lion King, and then I went over and watched True Lies. So that's a pretty fun little double feature, those two. And then right around the same time, Speed came out the next year. Or I guess it was all kind of the same window. It's all the same window time. Speed came out. Loved Speed. And actually, in my video a week or two back, I talked about most disappointing movies, and I talked about Speed in there because Speed 2 was such a disappointment to me because the first one was so much fun, and the second one was so not good at all. Pete Pratt. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Sean, how many movies from 2020 have you watched? I'm at 25 now. It is hard to find fun new ones. Well done with the still creating fun content. Let me look this up real quick. According to my records, it looks like I am at 57, but I don't think I've filed a couple in there. So I think I've seen 59 new releases for this year. So I think 59 is what I'm at. And you got to be a little bit clever this year, but since we don't have big releases. But I still enjoy like direct-to-video action movies from time to time. Obviously, we still have Netflix originals, and now we have HBO Max, Disney Plus. All these streaming services have originals, so there's still some things out there that kind of cover some of the stuff. Conor Man opinions on the Cornetto trilogy. I have a ranking of Edgar Wright's movies. My thoughts on it are in there. Oh, this one keeps popping up. Do you reckon that there will be a Community movie? I don't know. It's tough to say. It's a show that has a very rabid fan base, but doesn't have very broad appeal. I've gotten a roughly 1 million requests to rank the seasons of Community, and then the video didn't perform very well. Like on YouTube, it tells you how your last 10 videos have performed against each other. My Community seasons ranking was number 10. So every YouTuber's nightmare is getting a number 10, where it means of the last 10, this is the weakest performing one. And my Community seasons ranking was number 10. But it's my most requested. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating to like have so many people request something. You're like, okay, fine. I watched all the seasons. Let's talk about it. You're excited for it. A group of people are pumped about it. But then that group of people turns out to be a very vocal minority. So I don't know how many people are actually out there demanding a movie. So I have no idea what will happen. There's people passionate for it. I just don't know if there's a lot of them. Vincent, new streaming service ranked. Yeah, so I announced I was going to do an updated streaming service ranked because we've gotten like 3 new streaming services since the last video I did. And it just hasn't happened yet. it's still on my mind. I haven't really used Peacock, even though I downloaded it. That should tell you probably where that one will rank. But some of it's just, to do a ranking like that, you have to spend a little bit of time on multiple, like these different streaming services to see if there is anything good, checking out their content and stuff like that to kind of get a vibe for it. But, that's kind of the reason why. Eric Johnson with the super chat. Thank you so much. Do you keep a list of every movie you've ever seen, and what's the number? I'm at 1006 with the last movie being The Devil all the time. No, I mean, I track how many movies I watch each year since I started my channel, but I haven't been tracking since, I'm 38. So to keep a list of every movie I've ever seen, it would be like 10,000 movies. And it would mean I would have had a list I would have been tracking for years. I don't have that. And I don't, I'm not going to sit down and start the list being like just going through Leonard Maltin's movie guide. This guy right here, like, I even at times I've gone through it, and I normally, when I read through Leonard Maltin's movie guide, it's got 17,000 movies in it. I will check whether I've seen a movie, but to just go through this and check all the movies that I've seen through 2015, that would it's 1,500 pages to do that, just to put a check mark somewhere, and that doesn't include the last 5 years where I've seen over 100 new releases. So then it would be 500 movies beyond that number of movies. So it's just it's a lot to do something like that. What was that? Questions. Probably start winding down soon on this. My voice is actually starting to get sore. Marks Campos, what did you think of 1917? Yeah, I have a review of it on my channel, and then it's in my top 10 of last year. So that tells you what I think about it, that I thought it was top 10 worthy. I mean, I think it was in my top 3 for last year. Just a really compelling story that held your attention while doing something interesting with the storytelling. Todd Barker, hey Sean, are you going to do a Miles Morales PlayStation 4 series? I don't know what that means. I plan to review the game. If I can get a PlayStation 5, I plan to get one. All that's on my mind, but I don't know what you mean by series. Dan Walton on screen. Do you think there's an objective answer to the question, what is the greatest movie of all time? No, I don't remotely think that there's an objective answer to that. The art is subjective, period. There you can, I don't even know what would it kind of even mean in some of these regards to try and objectively do that. Like you can pull people and you can have objective metrics to guide what movies are being considered for it, where you get a lot of people from a lot of different categories. But I just there's even as the art of cinema, what we value in the West is different from what they value in the East in storytelling, the way we tell stories. I just don't remotely in any way. I don't think that's why I don't like to do best of lists. They're my favorite lists because I do not think in terms of art in movies of this is the best. And I'm kind of skeptical of anyone that does because I just don't think that that's how that stuff really works. I sent a super chat and forgot to add the question. What are you more excited for, The Flash or Doctor Strange? Since both will explore the multiverse. I don't really know. Both of everything we're hearing about each of them kind of sounds gimmicky with some of the stuff that they're trying to do, but they sound weird enough and there's interesting enough things that I'm excited to see both of them. Probably just for nostalgia reasons at the moment, The Flash sounds a little bit better because of Michael Keaton. Sounds much like I have an idea of what that is and what nostalgia that will pull out of me, where I don't know exactly what that will look like with Doctor Strange 2. So, that's kind of my default kind of thought on it. But without trailers, without having more concrete ideas, it's a lot of speculation of like, which thing that's in a very broad category are you more excited for? Well, I don't know, because I don't know much about it. The man, how do you manage with time to watch so many movies, TV shows, and be a super cool dad in video editing? Assumption being that I'm a super cool dad. I just don't have much else going on in my life. 2020 has kind of made that easy. I can't go anywhere. But, a lot of what I do with my kids, that's why I have a second channel where I do videos with my kids. That's something I do with them. I watch movies with them, and then I'll make a video with them, and I'm kind of trying to show my son how to edit stuff. And then, we go on a little adventures, and so I film it, make vlogs out of it. But it's, I don't have a lot of other things. I keep saying, I don't watch sports, because if I watch sports, that would be something competing for my time to watch movies and spend time with my family. I just can't have a lot of extra things in my life. I work out, spend time with my family, watch movies. And a lot of my time with my family is watching movies. And when I spend time with my friends, it's at the gym or it's at the movies. It's kind of that simple. Like there's not much more to it. And therefore I'm able to, if you try and do everything, you don't do it very well. If you only do a few things, there's the possibility that you can focus in on enough to do it really well. Have you seen The Umbrella Academy? I have not. I haven't seen a single episode, unfortunately. Connor Stark, what video editor do you use? Adobe Premiere. I've been using Adobe Suite since 2003. 17 years I've been using them. Another easy one. Have you seen American Horror Story? No, I haven't seen a single episode, unfortunately. Little Bill, have you seen Paul Blart Mall Cop? If so, what do you think of it? Yeah, I've seen it a few times. Showed it to my kids actually sometime in the last year. It's harmless. It's a stupid concept for a movie premise. It's dumb, but it's harmless. Certain movies don't have, I don't expect them to be good. They're, you're in the mood for something stupid. Kevin James is likable enough, so that's how I evaluate something like that. I don't overthink it beyond that. It's not a great film. I'm not like, dude, you got to check out Paul Blart. But it's, to me, like some people want to dunk on movies like that. It's not trying to be anything beyond the dumb fun. Okay. This is an important one. I know it's important because it's been asked so many times. What does your scream sound like? Yeah, so I used to be in a bunch of bands, ska punk bands, and I was the screamer in the band. So it's one of these days I'll share my music in some avenue where you can hear it. But yeah, I was the screamer in a couple punk bands. So I certainly won't scream now because I talk for a living. And if I scream at my extreme age, I would screw up my voice, and I don't want to do that. That would be a unwise strategy for life. Keep getting this question. Thoughts on the WandaVision trailer? I have a trailer reaction. That is my thoughts on it. Are you going to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., do you think? The first 10 episodes are hard, but after that, it's pretty dang good and epic. I doubt it. I doubt it. I mean, if my son gets into it, my kids get into it, that could happen. But otherwise, it's asking me to, just to get to the point in time where it gets good, I have to watch 15 episodes. That's over 10 hours just to get to the point in time where maybe it gets good. That's a pretty big ask. That's tough. The Movie Man, can you rank the Hunger Game movies? I have a video of them. So sometimes I hear these questions and I get confused because I don't know if did it not show up in search? I don't know why you're asking the question because the video's out there. It's you can just find it. Maybe you just search for it. Some of you guys asking questions about have I watched things? Read the description. All the things that people ask me to watch, have I watched it? They ask the same ones kind of every time, so they're all in that description. Oh, I'm sorry. I've got several super chats I missed in here. I'm not getting messages anymore. Ryan Geisen, have you seen Red and Red 2? I've seen Red. I have not seen Red 2. I actually watched Red a second time about a month ago because I was planning to rank all the DC movies. It's based off a DC comic. I don't know if that's going to happen anymore because they moved Wonder Woman. It's a fun enough concept. Great cast, lots of energy, little hokey, but certainly fun. Eric Johnson with the super chat. Thank you so much. Do you keep that's already did that one. Ryan, First Class is my favorite superhero movie of all time. I thought Days of Future Past was great, but not as emotionally investing, and J Law wasn't good. Agree. Yeah, I agree. I think that, I don't agree that, First Class is not my favorite superhero movie of all time. So I can't say that, but I think that First Class is better than Days of Future Past, though Days of Future Past is still very good, but First Class emotionally works better for me. I agree with all those statements. Sean Studios with Super Chat. Thanks so much. What do you think of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor? Weird direction to take things. I don't really know what they're going for. Like, it seems like they wanted to make him they didn't want to just do Michael Rosenbaum, and they didn't want to be too obvious and do Bryan Cranston. And so then it kind of turned into, let's make him as like a Mark Zuckerberg, quirky, weird guy with all these weird ticks. I'm like, well, let me feed you candy. And I don't think it really works. I don't think it fully lands. It's one of those things where you see it and you go, okay, maybe if I didn't have something else in my mind, this would work. But I have something in my mind that's a little bit more conventional, Bryan Cranston, and Bryan Cranston is better than this. Bryan Cranston doing Heisenberg is better than Eisenberg in this. And so it just doesn't, it's tough for me to get excited about it. Have you seen Spirited Away? Yeah, I have. Not for me. I don't really do allegorical storytelling and metaphors in film all that well. Same reason I'm not really big into Kubrick and some of his films that other people love. I don't function on that level, that wavelength. I saw Spirited Away and I didn't know what I was watching. People are like, well, what are these metaphors about maturing and puberty and these themes about this and the relationship? I was like, I didn't get any of that. I just saw weird images. All the stuff you're telling me, that is not what I saw at all. I'm going to take just a few more questions and close this deal out. My throat is starting to bother. I got both an energy drink and a can of soda. I just haven't consumed any of this, and I've been talking for an hour and 35 minutes straight. Actually, that's not true. Right before this, I did a phone call with one of my supporters on Patreon. I did a 30-minute phone call, so I've actually been talking for over 2 hours straight. And I shot a video before that. My Cars and Plays ranked. Shot that earlier today. And then I did an interview with a radio station earlier today, college radio station. So I probably should have not booked so many things where I'm talking so much in a row. Reese, thoughts on Cobra Kai? I did a review of Cobra Kai last week, like literally last week. So that is my opinions on it. Favorite character from Cobra Kai? I'm going with Johnny. Maybe it's the safe answer, but I think he's easily the person that for someone my age is the most compelling. That's the most relatable and interesting on the show is, Johnny as the lead character kicking up Cobra Kai again, and it's kind of washed out. Just really fun, way funnier than I expected it to be, and it just works really well. So, yeah. Roblox, you guys buy Funko Pops because you think they might rise in value. I don't at all. I don't do any of that. I don't collect any of mine for the sake of value. I've never purchased one for that purpose. That is not what I do with them. I did that stuff growing up back in the 90s, and we bought toys. I still have unopened Star Trek The Next Generation toys and Hook toys in my garage. They're literally 30 years old now. They're about 30 years old, and I don't know how I would sell them now for whatever they'd be worth, or even if there was a spike. When you own something for 30 years, you have like a weird connection to it, even though they're just sitting in my garage. So I don't do that stuff anymore. That's not how I buy my Funkos. Worst movie? I don't think that way. I don't have a worst movie. I don't know what the worst movie is. There's just tons of just crappy, low budget things that it's not even interesting to talk about worst movie because punching down at a low budget thing is not interesting. And that's what the worst ones are. The worst ones aren't Michael Bay Transformers movies. Those are blockbusters that are very professionally made. There's unwatchable, unprofessionally made garbage made every day. And I don't want to punch down. Matthew Joyce, have you seen any British sitcoms? Not really. So I don't have much to chime in on that one. Unfortunately, I don't have anything that's a satisfying answer. Tariq Allen, thank you so much for the super chat. Thanks for your comment. Have a wonderful day. You too. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Had a couple of these come in the final couple of minutes on here. Oh, very cool. One from the Flick Pick. Chug the energy drink. All right. Besides movie-related content, what do you watch on YouTube? Ow. Now you're probably going to get weird answers from me because I just gave myself a concussion. But FlickPick asked me to chug it, so I had to at least try to do something manly with it. There we go. That was how I threw it. Anyway, what do you watch? Okay, besides movie-related content, I watch a lot of Dude Perfect. Dude Perfect's like really good family entertainment. Whether it's their show Overtime, that's them. It's like this variety show that's just them doing goofy stuff, or them doing their competitions and things. All of it, my kids love it, and so we watch a ton of Dude Perfect. Every time they put out a new video, we check it out. And I watch, I try to. That's where I get most of my news is from YouTube. So I watch a bunch of political stuff. I try and watch both sides. So that I try and balance myself out a little bit because everybody puts their spin on stuff. I'm trying to think. Always when I'm on the spot on these ones, I always forget something really obvious that I watch a lot of. Like in the movie space, some of the stuff that I watch, like I'll watch more Corridor Crew, where they have like stuntmen react. I watch a lot of that stuff with my kids. I watch a bunch of stuff on like 90s action movies. There's a channel called Samurai Viking, and it's just this guy that talks about Van Damme's Seagal movies. And so I just love kind of stuff like that. Trying to, what else? A lot of stuff on martial arts. Just when I'm working out, I'll put on stuff on learning martial arts in the background. So I don't know, that's a bunch of random stuff that I kind of watch, but trying to find an interesting answer for you. But anything I've watched recently that's interesting. So yeah, just stuff like that. That's these days. Martial arts stuff. Political stuff, trying to balance it from both sides, keeping up with the current events and what each side is screaming at each other about with it, and then Dude Perfect quite a bit. Thank you so much for the super chat, and I very much appreciate it, John. Mac to God Jaw Dropper with the super chat. Thank you so much. Which streaming service would you recommend for the most average person? For the most average person, I think it's HBO Max or Netflix are the two that are probably the best well-rounded. Maybe Amazon Prime in there too. The other ones I wouldn't even consider for just well-rounded. HBO Max has a really good catalog because they have their Warner Brothers connections. Netflix is the established one, and so they just got a lot of long-running deals and the best archive of original content. But then Amazon Prime feels like it has some deeper cuts that I like. So if you kind of like older action movies, Amazon Prime has a lot of stuff in there. Like, this is probably not helpful for most average. This is not an average person thing to do. But like, I used to walk through the aisles of the action aisles of Blockbuster and Hollywood Video in the late 80s, late 90s, early zeros, and I would see all these movie titles. And Amazon Prime is the one that has all those movies. And but that's not average person stuff. So I would probably say Netflix. I think that they're the most established, and therefore the ones that get kind of criticized the most. But they have a lot of really good stuff there, I think. They do have a really good archive. I think if you ever have a bias towards newer things from the last year, HBO Max probably wins on that. They probably have the most first run streaming of hit movies from the previous year. That's probably the best, but it's tough to make it because there's like three of them that have really good archives and really good archives. HBO Max probably is the fewest exclusives because they're the newest, and Netflix has the most. So I don't know, that's a bunch of different thoughts. Ronan Workington. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. You like Linkin Park? Yeah, I like some Linkin Park. I've never been like a huge fan of Linkin Park, but I've always enjoyed some of their songs. And when I'm in the mood to be angry, put on One Step Closer to the Edge whenever I'm about to break to let off some steam. So let's see where we're at. Tariq Allen with super chat. Thanks so much. What's your favorite movie genre? I wouldn't say that I have a favorite movie genre, but if you look at the majority of the movies that I love, that it's they tend to be action sci-fi blockbusters. Some combination of technology, cool stuff, and cool action. There's a lot of sci-fi action in there, or adventure, like Back to the Future is an action, but it's adventure, stuff like that. So, that and it's kind of a broad category, but it's, Star Trek, Star Wars, Predator, Terminator, Back to the Future, Aliens. They all, I cut myself when I did that whole stunt with the can. There's blood coming out of my hand. But all that stuff kind of falls into that sci-fi action adventure. That's probably for me what would be the best. Christian, I'm starting a YouTube channel. What's your advice for growing the channel? I have a video. It's called How to Start a Movie Channel, and I have a sequel called How to Grow a Movie Channel. Those will tell you. That's my best advice right there. Between the two videos, I think it's like 45 minutes, 50 minutes. That it's all in there. My introductory thoughts. If you really want to go deep, I am developing a course right now. It's like 15 hours. It's intense stuff, but for people that are serious, that kind of want to make the investment of time into it, that's something I'm about to launch. I've already beta tested it, or I'm finishing beta testing it. That's coming out soon. But those two videos are just on my main channel. You just do Sean Chandler Movie Channel, and multiple videos will come up with my thoughts on it. Super chat from Andre. Ever watch Requiem for a Dream or Donnie Darko or Mr. Nobody? They're probably my favorite movies of all time so far. They make you feel different. They do make you feel different. I haven't seen Mr. Nobody, but Requiem for a Dream and Donnie Darko kind of came out when I was right in my phase of discovering smaller indie stuff. And so then everybody, along with Fight Club, talked about those movies. Requiem for a Dream is probably a little bit too dark for me. A movie that's all about these people heading down these paths of destruction, and watching that unfold, not really my thing. Donnie Darko, a little bit more interesting because time travel and weird philosophy. So that was a fun one to check out. So we all loved it. And, it was one of those movies that back in 2003 or whatever, we all owned a copy of it. And if we had a friend that hadn't seen it, you got to watch Donnie Darko. And then we'd watch Donnie Darko again. And then they did whenever the director's cut came out, he did a screening in Austin. And so I saw a screening with the director when the director's cut came out. That was pretty cool. And at it, my buddy asked a question and got it answered by the director. So it was pretty cool. And it looks like we'll probably close out on this one. If you could change anything from Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, what would you change? The whole thing. I would scrap everything from Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. It's not, well, but I change this one thing. I would scrap that and have them go, okay, starting with Force Awakens, let's have a plan where the actual journey we'll want to take these characters on so that we have proper payoff for everybody and not terrible payoff for everyone. But it wouldn't be a one thing deal. Those are movies that require a lot more change than just like, let's tweak this one little thing. No. They got a lot of problems. And so I would want to make a lot of changes. Maybe I can answer a couple quick ones. Do you own any VHS? I've got a bunch of leftover VHS in my garage. I couldn't tell you which. I've got a bunch. I've got boxes of VHS tapes in my garage because I owned hundreds of them back in the day, and I don't know how many I've held on to, but they're still out there. What's your favorite movie of all time? I've got a video with my top 20, so you can just check that one out to get your answer. Kiers, thanks for being so kind and answering my question today. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks, everyone, for the super chats. Thanks, everyone, for clicking the like button, asking questions. It's greatly appreciated. Okay, we got a super chat. What's your favorite movie of all time? I have a video where I have my top 20. It tells you all of my favorites in there. I don't like to pick a favorite movie. I don't like to. It's not my favorite thing to do because I like different movies for different reasons. In the video, I had to pick one. I went with Terminator 2. It's got laughs. It's, of course, got great action, and it has a heart to it. It's got all sorts of great levels of where you watch Sarah turn into the Terminator turn into a human. It's awesome. It's a great blockbuster. It's my kind of movie. So I dig it. So there you have it. A lot of the questions you guys even kind of have in here a little bit. I've already touched on a lot of them. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Boys, Nick Fury. all of that has been kind of been touched on here before, so sorry I can't touch on it again. Talk to you later. Thank you guys so much for watching, and keep talking movies too much.